down to earth. During the day, he's more of a, I would say, monotonous.
Guy, yeah.
Someone who is predictable and who blends in the everyday.
But it's sort of like Peter Parker investigating Spider-Man, right?
A very dark Peter Parker.
It's a
very dark.
Grim version, but yeah, definitely. So at night he takes a different persona, and that's when he reveals his true face. That's when he puts the mask on.
So he puts the mask on to reveal his true face.
Exactly,
that's
to unleash who he
really
really is. Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
That's beautiful. And I have to ask, how did he end up in the realm of the entity?
So during the day, he's a journalist. He's covering the stories, and at night, he is this playful character who's a bit narcissistic, like Dave mentioned before.
Like Dave.
Like Dave.
No, exactly. Like you're the inspiration, actually, for the character. No. Of course, joking. But yeah, no. Actually, what happens is that he is a playful persona at night. So that's when he releases a footage of himself breaking and entering a house. That's the person who's
that sort of led the police a little too close.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, the investigation starts pointing to him, and that's when he skips down. That's what he's done in the past as well. And he was planning to visit a different city and start over there, but the entity had other plans for him.
A better opportunity for Ghostface.
Yeah, he's in a better place now.
Yeah,
I would think so.
I think. Well, for him, certainly. I think he's probably one of our rare characters who, if he had been given the choice, might have actually decided, yeah, sure, it seems like a place that could be a good time.
Interesting thing as well with the character, since we could reinvent who he is, we actually designed the whole outfit. And part of this outfit has little floaty bits that shows his connection to the entity. So this little plus that he gets from the entity.
Is it magic?
It's not magic. It's entity magic. It's not magic.
Okay. No. Matt, would you like to...
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt. Would you like to tell us about the killer's power?
I would love to. But first off, going to give a quick shout out to Guillaume and the rest of the team that worked on Ghostface, brought this character to life. They did an awesome job, so respect.
People are supposed to clap there. Thank you.
So, the power. The power is called Night Shroud, and basically this is a true stealth ability. And by that, I mean that when you activate it, your terror radius shrinks to 0, and it makes you much more difficult to be detected by survivors. On top of this, you're also moving at full speed, so 4.6 meters a second.
Okay. Oh, yes, I'm supposed to stop you right there and put a little disclaimer. Whenever we talk numbers in these things, it's very early in the process. This is going to be on the PTB soon. I have a date later. But even when it's on the PTB, these are the values you're going to get on day one, but they're going to change. They're going to be tweaked. And then by the time it's released, it's going to be slightly different.
Sure.
So this is what we have designed right now, and it might change.
Exactly.
End of disclaimer.
So on top of that, Ghostface also has a couple of other special abilities. The first one being that he's able to crouch, and this again makes him much more difficult to detect. Also, if Night Shroud is active, he stops emitting his red stain. So this is really handy for mind gaming around pallets, around loops. Very cool power. Special ability. Very cool special ability. He also has another ability where he can come up behind some cover, lean out, peek, and stalk survivors from there. So again, just another really interesting way to kind of stay hidden, but be able to stalk your victims.
It's important though to know that there's still a sound around Ghostface, so that he
you can get an eerie feeling that he's around.
So, but just when he's moving. So
exactly. Actually, that's another important point to mention. When your power is active, you can stalk your victims, very similar to Myers, but in this case, you're stalking them individually. So once you've stalked a survivor for 4 seconds, they become marked, and that means that you've applied the exposed status effect.
Which is bad.
Which is very bad. It leaves them very vulnerable for the next 20 seconds.
Cool. But so, yeah, that's it. So these stalking meters are per character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's one other interesting aspect with his power, and that is that survivors can have a direct impact on the power. And by that, I mean that they can detect Ghostface by being within 32 meters, so in a pretty close proximity, and looking at him for at least 1 second. This will break him out of his stealth ability, so it will cancel his power.
So he's the one that needs to play hide and seek this
Exactly. He needs to be aware of where the survivors are in the map. Otherwise, again, they're going to cancel his power. It will go back on cooldown. He'll start emitting his regular terror radius, his regular red stain, and he won't be able to mark survivors anymore.
Okay.
And, so, very cool, stealth ability.
Yeah, that's going to require a little bit of work, but it gives you so many tools to actually have a direct impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really sets up this interesting dynamic between survivors and killers.
Cool.
Yeah.
Does he also come with perks?
He does indeed.
How many?
He has 3 perks, like all of our other killers, Matthew.
Thank you.
Try to follow.
Surprise.
I was so close. Okay. Would you like to talk about that?
I would love to. So his first perk is called I'm All Ears, and it's a detection tracking perk. So basically the way that it works is if a survivor performs a rushed action outside of your terror radius, their aura will be shown for the next 6 seconds. So this means if they do a fast vault, if they hold shift when they're jumping into or out of a locker, they're going to reveal themselves to you. So it's a very powerful ability. Again, it's on a cooldown.
Okay. What is the second one called?
The second perk is called Thrilling Tremors.
You did that on purpose for all of our French mouths, right?
I did indeed.
Thrilling Tremors.
So
Thrilling
Tremors
Okay.
is an obstruction perk. And basically that means that it's there to kind of help slow down the game a bit, stop survivors from being able to do their objective.
How does it work?
I'll tell you that. Let me get to it. So, the way that it works is that when you pick up a downed survivor, or in this case, when you interrupt a survivor, it will block any generators that are not currently being worked on by another survivor for 16 seconds. So as I said, this will kind of help slow down the game a bit, but on top of this, it will also provide a bit of information. So all of the generators that are affected by this perk will be highlighted in white for the duration, and that means that the very observant killers will be able to see which generators may still have survivors working on them.
Tricky.
Indeed. This perk also works on a cooldown.
Cool. Thank you very much. That was detailed and precise information.
You're very welcome.
Dave.
We have one more perk.
Oh, shit.
3 perks, we said.
I meant
3 perks. 3 perks.
Darn.
Wow.
Yes. What's the third one?
All right. The third perk is called Furtive Chase. So this perk is an obsession perk, and the way that this works is that when the killer hooks the obsession, they gain a token up to a maximum of 2, 3, or 4 tokens, obviously based on the perk tier. And for each token that you have, you will reduce your terror radius by 4 meters when you're in a chase. On top of this, it's also a dynamic obsession perk, and by that I mean that your obsession will change throughout the match, similar to how the reworked Decisive Strike works. And so the way that that works is that when a survivor goes to unhook the original obsession, they will then become the obsession. So this sets up a new target for the killer to want to hook.
And so you can sort of chain them. And
You'll be swapping survivors and who you want to hook throughout the match.
that sounds like
It's
a
pretty
fun
cool.
time.
It's pretty cool indeed.
Cool. So when we make new powers, new killers like this, we tend to try to fill in gaps or bring in something that's different or shake the meta. How do you think this killer makes the game better, Dave?
Well, I mean, a stalker and a killer with stealth abilities like that is going to bring great surprise moment, jump scares, these great scenarios that we love to see in a game. So for a survivor, it's genuine stress that we love when we play Dead by Daylight. since they can't rely on the heartbeat. Yeah. There's also that co-op component. There's a lot of choice for the survivor. Like, will you kind of expose yourself to tell to everybody else that Ghostface is there? So that aspect is also really interesting. For the killer, there's a lot of different abilities with Ghostface. The way he moves, the way he can peek, crouch, go in stealth, stalk. There's a lot of option. There's a lot of depth to that character. So that's going to be really interesting.
Well, on top of that, just the fact that we're bringing Ghostface.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think that wraps it up for our chapter panel. I want to say to everybody out there who likes to go on our PTB, this one is going to be on June 4th, so they're going to be able to get their grubby little hands on the killer and try it and enjoy it. And then the chapter is actually going to drop on June 18th for everybody else.